Everybody wants to be seen as strong, powerful, and in control. They want to walk into a room and have people admire them, respect them, maybe even fear them. They fantasize about dominance, freedom, and respect, but none of them are willing to do what it takes to earn it. You say you want to win, but are you willing to walk alone to do it? Are you willing to walk away from comfort, from familiarity, from the groupthink that keeps you soft and stagnant? Most people can't even sit in silence for 5 minutes without reaching for their phone or checking their social media to see who's doing what. They're addicted to the presence of others because they've never developed the strength of presence within themselves. They need company to feel secure. They need applause to feel confident. That's weakness, plain and simple, and the world doesn't reward weakness. It exploits it. The masses are average for a reason. They think like everyone else, they behave like everyone else, and they move like everyone else. They are bound by herd mentality. You put 1,000 people in a room, and all it takes is one to act scared, and the rest follow. That's how the weak live. They let fear make decisions for them. They let comfort dictate their future. But you're not going to be great by doing what they do. A real man, a real predator, doesn't need the herd. He doesn't even care if the herd exists. His vision is his compass. His mission is his fuel. And the truth is, he doesn't need anyone to understand it. The lone wolf walks alone not because he hates others, but because he doesn't need them. He's self-reliant. He knows the price of greatness is isolation, and he's willing to pay it. There's a reason why the most powerful beings in history spent years in solitude. Kings, warriors, philosophers. They all had seasons of silence, periods where they disconnected from the noise and focused on becoming something more. You don't build empires by sitting around with your friends talking about dreams you're never going to chase. You build empires by cutting out everything that slows you down and going all in. It's not about hating others. It's not about thinking you're better. It's about knowing that your time is too valuable to waste in low-energy environments. It's about understanding that the more people around you, the more noise you have to cut through. Distractions, opinions, judgments, these things drain you. The lone wolf doesn't seek out extra noise. He moves in silence because silence sharpens the mind. You want to be elite, then stop trying to be liked. Start being feared, start being respected. Respect doesn't come from talking, it comes from doing. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. Let your results do the talking. Let your success scream so loud that people who doubted you are forced to sit in silence. You have to understand that when you walk alone, you move faster. You're not waiting for anyone to catch up. You're not checking to see who's coming. You're not constantly explaining your next move. You're free to act, free to think, free to dominate without hesitation. That's where power lies, in that freedom, and only the ones who walk alone will ever taste it. You've been conditioned to think that being alone is something to fear. You've been taught that if you're not surrounded by friends, family, or a partner, you're broken. But solitude is not a curse, it's a weapon. It gives you space to think, to strategize, to evolve. You can't become powerful in the middle of a party. You become powerful in the dark. You become powerful in the silence where you meet yourself, challenge yourself, and rebuild yourself. Weak men chase comfort. They seek relationships because they're lonely. They surround themselves with others because they can't handle their own company. But if you're serious about winning, really winning, you have to be willing to walk alone. You have to be willing to spend years grinding in silence while everyone else is posting highlights of their fake success online. You want to be a beast, then train when no one is watching. Build when no one is clapping. Win when no one believes in you. That's how you develop unshakable confidence. You know how you get real confidence, not by people telling you you're great. That's fake. That's fragile. Real confidence comes from doing hard things repeatedly, by yourself, in surviving. That's where the inner strength is built. Everyone wants to lead, but nobody wants to walk first. Nobody wants to be the one who takes the step into the unknown, the one who leaves the crowd behind, the one who accepts the risk of failure alone. That's why most people follow. It's easier to be in the pack than it is to be in the wild. But guess what? Nothing legendary comes from playing it safe. People will talk. People will judge. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're arrogant. They'll say you've become distant. That's fine. Let them say it. Weak people criticize what they can't understand. They fear what they can't control. And when you start walking alone, you're suddenly out of their reach. You're not operating by their rules anymore. You're building your own code, your own rhythm, your own standard, and don't expect them to clap for you when you succeed either. The same people who doubted you, who laughed at you, who called you crazy, those people will either disappear or come crawling back when it's too late. And when that time comes, you won't even care. Because by then, you'll have built a life so sharp, so focused, so elite, that their opinion will mean nothing. Being alone reveals the truth. It exposes your weaknesses. It forces you to confront everything you've been running from. There's no hiding when it's just you, no masks, no distractions, just raw reality. That's what most people can't handle. They'd rather stay busy than face themselves, but that's not you. You're different. You chose the hard path. You chose solitude over distraction. Power over pleasure, purpose over comfort. You're not chasing people, you're chasing results. You're not looking for approval, you're building discipline. You're not here to be popular, you're here to be legendary, and legends don't ask for directions. They carve their own path, they move on instinct, they walk into the unknown and make it their home. When you start moving like this, your energy changes. You stop talking so much. You stop explaining. You stop looking for sympathy. You become calm, focused, sharp. You realize that most people don't matter. Most conversations are noise. Most opinions are irrelevant. You cut it all out. You go ghost, not to hide, but to hunt. And here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. If you're not willing to walk alone, you're not ready to lead, because leadership means going first. It means taking the shots before anyone else does. It means setting the example, being the standard, and carrying the weight. Without needing a cheerleader, no one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you anything. So stop waiting. If you want it, you go get it. Alone, in the dark, in silence. You wake up early, you stay up late. You sacrifice what needs to be sacrificed, and you don't complain about it. You just move. You execute, you focus, and every day, while the sheep are gossiping, crying, and making excuses, the lone wolf is getting sharper, smarter, and more dangerous. You don't owe the world your time. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you chose to walk away from mediocrity. You owe yourself greatness. You owe yourself a life that's built on strength, not weakness, discipline, not distraction, power, not pity. That's what walking alone teaches you. That's what it demands of you. You learn to trust your gut. You learn to block out the noise. You learn to enjoy the silence, not as a punishment, but as a gift. Because it's in that silence where you build your empire, where you forge your discipline. Where you design a life so strong, so untouchable, that the rest of the world starts asking, how did he do it? And the truth is simple, you did it alone. There comes a point in your journey when you realize you've outgrown everything around you. The conversations feel dull, the parties feel pointless, the routine you used to find comfort in now feels like a cage. That's when you know you're waking up. Most people never get to that point. They spend their entire lives numbing themselves with distractions, pretending they're happy being average. But not you. You're different. You felt that shift, that uncomfortable whisper inside telling you to move, to evolve, to separate. And that whisper wasn't lying. It was the truth screaming through the noise. When you start leveling up, the first thing you notice is how quiet it gets. The friends you used to talk to, they stop calling. The people who used to admire you, they start resenting you, not because you've wronged them, but because your discipline exposes their laziness, your hunger confronts their apathy, and your rise reminds them of their stagnation. You don't even have to say a word. Your grind is a mirror, and most people don't like what it reflects. You must learn to be okay with that silence. In fact, you must learn to crave it, because that's when the magic happens. That's when you stop seeking validation and start cultivating vision. That's when your emotions stop controlling you and you start mastering your focus. The lone wolf doesn't whine about the absence of the pack. He thrives in it. He uses the space to sharpen his claws and strengthen his instincts. He becomes more calculated, more patient, more lethal. Everyone wants to be powerful, but they also want to be loved. They want admiration without isolation. They want success without sacrifice, but the two don't go together. The world doesn't applaud those who take the hard road. Until they make it, they mock you for walking alone. Until you arrive at a place so high they can't even breathe the air where you stand. But that arrival only happens when you commit to the grind. And not just any grind, the lonely grind. The kind where there are no cameras, no recognition, no applause. Just you and your obsession, you and your ambition, day after day, hour after hour, while the world scrolls, binges, gossips, and waits for a savior. You're not waiting, you're moving, and that's why you'll win. People say they want peace, but they chase chaos. They involve themselves in drama, distractions, and shallow relationships that waste their time and drain their energy. The lone wolf, however, doesn't do that. He eliminates what's unnecessary. If a conversation isn't about progress, he walks away. If an environment doesn't build him, he leaves. If a person doesn't add value, he cuts them off, not with anger, not with hatred, but with clarity. When you start walking alone, you become addicted to efficiency. Every second counts. You stop tolerating laziness. You start holding yourself to standards so high they scare others, and that's exactly how it should be. Because when no one is pushing you, your standards must be the force that drives you. No excuses, no softness, no lowering the bar to make others comfortable. The goal is to rise, not to be liked. And let me tell you something most people are too scared to admit. Walking alone is brutal. It's not glamorous, it's not always inspiring. Some nights are cold, some mornings are empty. You'll wake up and question everything. You'll doubt your path, your choices, your ability to keep going. But you keep going anyway. That's the difference between you and the rest. You don't fold, you don't beg for company, you don't seek comfort in crowds, you grind through it. You suffer with purpose. Pain isn't the enemy. Comfort is. Pain sharpens you, pain exposes your limits, pain creates urgency, and the lone wolf understands this better than anyone. That's why he doesn't avoid the pain, he uses it. Every betrayal, every setback, every moment of doubt becomes fuel. The kind of fuel that doesn't burn out, the kind of fuel that turns a man into a weapon. You're not here to be average, you're not here to fit in, you're here to take over, and that requires a level of obsession the world won't understand. You'll start noticing how weak most people are. They talk about success, but they don't want to bleed for it. They talk about ambition, but they want someone else to do the heavy lifting. That's why you must keep walking alone. Because their energy will poison yours. Their mindset will contaminate your mission. Don't waste time trying to wake the sleepwalkers. Let them dream. While they're busy fantasizing about a better life, you're building one. While they scroll through illusions of happiness, you're constructing real purpose. You're not looking for company. You're building legacy. You're not seeking followers. You're mastering yourself. That's the move. You'll start to see the world differently. You'll stop caring about trends. You'll stop following influencers. You'll stop mimicking people who haven't done a damn thing with their life. Instead, you'll study those who moved in silence and conquered everything. You'll align yourself with principles, not personalities, with discipline, not drama, with action, not attention, and you won't care if anyone notices. You won't need the applause. You'll know who you are. And that's all that matters, because true power is internal. It's quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't beg to be seen. It just is. And when you walk like that, unapologetically, relentlessly, alone, people feel it. They feel your energy before you speak. They sense your presence before you enter. You become a force, not because of what you say, but because of how you live. And how you live is the result of your willingness to walk alone when it mattered most. You'll start winning so often that people will call you lucky. Let them believe it was an accident. Let them pretend you stumbled into greatness. You won't waste a second explaining the hours you worked, the friends you left, the nights you suffered in silence. You'll smile and move on, because by then your life will be so loud your words won't be needed. But it all starts with a decision to cut the noise, a decision to walk alone, even when your legs are trembling. A decision to trust the process, even when no one claps for you. That's the kind of decision that changes everything. That's the kind of decision that makes you dangerous. Because the moment you stop needing people, you become unstoppable. You won't ask for motivation anymore. You won't wait for inspiration. You'll become your own spark. You'll set your own fire. And once you've ignited it, nothing will extinguish it. Not loneliness, not pain, not setbacks. You'll have tasted what it feels like to walk in your own power. And once you taste that, everything else becomes irrelevant. You'll laugh at your old self, the version of you that cared what others thought. The version that needed likes, needed company, needed permission. That version is dead. You buried him the day you chose to walk alone. And in his place stands someone ruthless, someone focused, someone built for war. You don't chase anymore. You attract. Not because you're seeking attention, but because you've become undeniable. You move different. You speak with certainty. You act with conviction. And people will either align with you or get out of your way. That's the life of the lone wolf. No distractions, no dilution, just direction. Pure, relentless direction. So when the nights are quiet and the world feels distant, smile. That's the sound of transformation. That's the silence before the storm. That's the space where champions are forged and cowards fade. You're not lost. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're exactly where you need to be, alone. Becoming something the world will never forget. So when the world calls you crazy for walking alone, keep walking. When they laugh, when they doubt, when they turn their backs, good, let them. Because one day, when you're standing at the top, when your results speak louder than their opinions ever could, they'll remember the one who didn't fold, the one who didn't beg, the one who didn't need a crowd to become a king. You weren't built for the pack. You were built for greatness, and greatness is never found in comfort. It's forged in solitude. Walk alone, build in silence, and when the time comes, let the world hear your roar.